Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, my friends. How are you? Welcome to this beautiful program. This is one of the many programs Kardec Radio is putting together for this special New Year's Day presentation. I'm super excited to be here. I will soon introduce you my friend Daniel Peon, and we will be talking about the beauty of joy in our lives. And we are even more joyful because we have Kardec Radio. And Kardec Radio, throughout all these years, so many years, was able to bring beautiful study books, beautiful messages, beautiful prayers every day in our lives. So to talk about the joy, I want to bring our new friend, Daniel Peon. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Very, very good. Hello, Angie. How are you? Good to see you. My friends, I'm super
happy.
excited to talk about joy. I'm doing this daily prayer program every morning on Kardec Radio, also helping as much as possible the SSVA. I'm really thrilled to be together with you today to talk about joy. We need joy, right? After this whole pandemic, we need more joy. but we are passing through everything. And and I think the way we are programming this, talking about some examples of others so we can follow, and also we can talk about some history, some books, right? I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So, my friends, this will be a simple conversation. We are going to be just bringing points so we can better understand joy. When we talk about joy, the first thing people think is about, whoa, you got something. You got excited. Yay! I got a car. I'm super excited. Is only that joy, Daniel?
No, definitely not. Everybody thinks about material, right? But
Exactly.
We know that everybody suffers. If it was that, all billionaires would be so happy. And we know it's not true, right? Even famous people, they commit suicide, right? So we know joy is not about that. There's something else, right? There's something more. And so
Exactly. You said
yeah.
everything. People always connect joy with a better salary, a better house, a better job. Yes, of course, these things are really wonderful, but this is a momentary joy. It's not something that stays throughout our lives. And of course, we have to talk about something much deeper. Everybody wants to have a raise, but this it passes because then you get to that plateau and it's not like new anymore. That's already something okay. But we are going to talk about this joy in life. So I'm going to share a very simple presentation we put together just to make our friends to understand a little bit more. So we are going to start talking about this scene. So we are going to be talking about the Last Supper. So, Daniel, do you think the apostles were happy here? They were joyful at this moment?
Well, if they knew that was the last, maybe not. But for sure, to be together with Jesus, in this dinner, they would be very happy. But Jesus commented something, and that somehow it created a chaos, right? So maybe that's why they are in this picture pointing to each other, right?
Yeah.
But definitely, all the dinners with Christ would be amazing, right? Amazing of joy. But in the last one, I don't know. What do you think, Angie?
Well, but that's exactly what you mentioned. They were super happy to be having dinner with Jesus, and Jesus is breaking the bread and sharing with all of them, and is talking about the many things that are going to happen. So at that moment, they are super joyful. But what happened is exactly as you mentioned. They did not know it was the last supper with the master. So how can we talk about joy if they already knew what was going to happen? But that's exactly what Jesus is telling them. Jesus is preparing them for the difficulties that are going to come. There will be difficult times. So Jesus is telling them, listen, I'm here to tell you that the very hard times will come. But I am the proof of a life. And you will understand that one of you will betray me. But it's okay. Everything will happen in a way that will teach all of you to understand that the joy, life, is not of this world, but is the word of my Father. So that's when he is telling the disciples that he will die, but he will live again. And of course, they got all troublesome. They got all like, what? What is that? So Daniel, what do you think? What do you think is happening through the head of the disciples at that moment? Do you think they are understanding joy from this message?
Oh, I think it's a hard question, but if I was there, I can tell by myself, I would be
Uh-oh. Daniel froze. Come back,
oh,
Daniel.
back.
He's
Uh,
back.
all, all this joy that we are talking about with patient that we do as humans, right? Because we cannot go to the level of Christ and feel joy even knowing that you're gonna be betrayed, right? So I think the moment when this happened, they're still not yet prepared. So I think in their heads they're like crazy. Oh my gosh, no.
Yes, no, that definitely. If I was there, I was gonna start crying for
Yeah.
sure, because nobody is prepared to understand that the happiness is from another world. We all want to live it now, but that's what Jesus was trying to prepare them.
Hmm.
So when we go here, we see this. Forgot to share, of course. So when we see here, Felipe, God's great reroute. So here we are talking about a very, very important disciple. And this disciple, it's Paul of Tarsus. But as we all know, Paul of Tarsus never met Jesus in life. He was actually a persecutor of the Christians of the time. He did not understand what was Christianity. But when he finally met Jesus in the desert, and Jesus asked him with his previous name that was Saul, why do you persecute me? That's when Saul stopped being a persecutor and he started understanding almost automatic. Yes, Jesus is real. This is real. So I'm telling this story just to let you know that when after so many years going throughout all over Europe, Saul is in Rome in a prison. And when he's Rome, in this prison in Rome, he is actually writing the famous letters. And he's writing the letters to the Philippians, to the Philippians. And he's writing to the Philippians about the joy. So he's explaining to them that after all these years of so much of a persecution, including in Philippi, where he almost died because he was being stoned, he had to run away of the city. So he's writing to them that even throughout his very difficult life, he is super joyful because he was loyal to the master. He was loyal to the Christianity that was being born in that moment. So this was a letter that he's trying to make people to understand life is difficult, very difficult. But then we will get joy from it if we learn how to live well. So what do you think then?
Well, for me, I think it's an example, right? Paul's an example for all of us, and it seems so far away. It seems so far away from myself now. Uh, but we have to have a target, right? We have to see these examples and try to embed something in our lives, and that's
Yes.
why I was thinking about in Brazil, in what the history there, which person I would consider to be the most joyful one. And I think I'm thinking somebody. I'm not sure if you're also thinking somebody, but many people would say, "Well, but this person suffered so much. What's the connection with joy there?" But at the same time, it's not a king, it's not a prince that I'm thinking about. It's somebody that somehow discovered how to be happy through life, right? And we somehow can learn also to try to apply this mindset and also feel this happiness, is all this joy. You know what I'm talking about, Angie, here?
Yeah, I think you're talking about a very important person in the life of most of Brazilian spiritists.
Yes.
So,
So
what do
yes,
you want to tell about Chico Xavier to a person that is listening to us right now and that never heard of this man in their lives?
sure. So Chico Xavier was born a very poor, in a very poor family. I think it was 9 brothers. It was a big family, and Chico, well, his mother passed away when he was 6 years old, and then he was like, there's the godmother that came. She was a mean person, obsessive person, and she was spanking him with wood stick. She was like putting the tip of the fork in his belly, torturing the boy. And so Chico had a childhood which was not easy. That's what I would like to say for everyone. But also the mediumship of Chico arose in a very early age. So after the mother passed away, he could contact the mother, and the mother was giving him lessons, which was as you see in the whole thing, is lessons of happiness, lessons of joy. So he was not anymore complaining about all the tortures he was passing through with the godmother for 2 years. After all, he just discovered that, well, if I stop crying, if I just, don't complain, she will not, be so transgressive. She will not be so mean so often, right? So despite all the also the hunger that he was passing through, he learned new skills, that the joy is also, you can create joy inside yourself despite all the surroundings, right? So there's also history a story when he was there is the new mother that come, right? Because the father married again, and this new one, the stepmother, was a good one. So she started to be more loving to Chico. So he was very happy again. And then, but they were like a poor family, so they're passing for all these struggles. And I remember that it was there was a time they were planting vegetables to sell because they could not even have enough money to pay all the amenities and everything. No, not money for food. So, and then with this one time that the neighbor, she was stealing the vegetables from the house, and Chico was like, sad because they could not go to school, they could not pay the light, and there was all these troubles because they will have no vegetables. And so the stepmother asked to Chico, talk to your mother. As you said, you can talk to her, right? She passed away, but ask her what she should do. And the answer came, well, give the key of your house to the neighbor, because she will take care of your house and ask for to take care, and will not steal the vegetables no more. And that worked. So Chico started to see that it was not about complaining, right? That they will get happiness in life. It is about
Exactly.
it is about helping others. It is about putting
Exactly.
others in your circle, see them as your whole family. So
Exactly. Because if they were gonna fight with the neighbors, things could be much worse. But his stepmother, she was really this very loving character, very loving personality, and even if she was very humble and didn't have any type of study, she knew people. She knew the personalities, the characteristics. So that's how she told us she could give the house of the key of the house, because
Hmm.
she will feel like I'm responsible for that house now.
Exactly,
So it was a
exactly.
beautiful way to stopping her from stealing their
Yes,
vegetables. Beautiful
exactly.
story.
And just to illustrate, Chico was well, this was just infancy, but Chico was the biggest medium that we have ever heard of. He wrote more than 485 books his entire life, all through this mediumship. He never get any dime, any cent from all this production, because he said that it was not his production, but he was just a medium to other authors. And he was a symbol of humbleness and joy and this giving always, right, this serving always. But
Yeah.
his health was not always perfect, right? And there is this guide of Chico called Emmanuel. And Emmanuel, once there was, because Chico was considered with tuberculosis, so weak, with feverish, and Emmanuel said, Chico, try to react, right? Otherwise, you go broke and you die. And if you disincarnate now, it's okay because you did some good thing. But there's so many other things that you didn't, right? So look for to react, right? Emmanuel said, sadness is a heart termite. It's beautiful, right? It brings serious illnesses. So besides anger, annoyance, well, all this rebelliousness brings this. So Emmanuel was also trying to show Chico how he could heal himself. And one of the things is, besides optimism and confidence in God, which is always necessary, to be in nature so you can feel and understand this message of God that created everything for us. This is there for you, right? So you can assimilate these remedies to heal yourself, just to be more in connect with the good and with God. So when Chico was eating the breakfast, he was really feeling it. He was really tasting. So he was present. As we know now about mindfulness, right? Today, he was doing this like more than 50 years ago. So I think this learning that Emmanuel showed to Chico, another history that was also like very, very interesting. Chico was going to some place and he was work, because he was also working for the whole household to pay for the food of all the people in the household. And there was somebody calling him, hey Chico, come here. And he was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be late. But he went, as always, and there was just a small talk. But after this attention that he provided, and he get some guidance about medicines, and then the person, when he was far away, he looked back and she was saying, God go with you, God pay you, God help you. And so Emmanuel said, hey, Chico, look back again. And Chico looked, and there was this emanating white, I don't know how to say, but this kind of ectoplasm going out of the mouth of the lady that he was helping,
Yes, these are energetical fluid.
energetic. And this was entering Chico and making good to him. So Emmanuel said, imagine if she was saying otherwise, if she's saying bad things, right? So it's just to show us that whatever we do to others come also back to us. And this thing
Yes.
about talking about God, talking about good things is always good. There was
Yeah.
one person that asked Chico, hey Chico, I have everything. I'm very comfortable. I'm even a medium in my spiritist center. I have a good family, but I'm still feeling that I'm missing something. What is this? Could you please ask Emmanuel, what is this that I'm missing? And then Emmanuel said, yes, Chico, I know what this person is missing. He's missing the joy of others. So the joy of others, that Emmanuel said, is generated when we create. It's created when when the others realize that we care about
Yeah.
them. So I just wanted to finish with that. And I think this phrase right now is I think you should read for us. It's a beautiful phrase too.
Yeah,
But
so this is one of the many beautiful sentences Chico has throughout all these 480 something books. So the sentence is, Joe, nobody can go back and make a new beginning. Anyone can start over and make a new ending. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful to help us to focus on the future, on what will happen to us, all of us, no exception. We all made the mistakes. If we look back to our this life, we think about things that when we were younger, and they're like, oh, if I could go back and change it, I would do it totally different. But as Chico tells us, don't think about that. It's past. Think about not repeating this mistake. Erase this from your life. You will commit other mistakes, but try not to repeat the same mistake from the past. Let's do a new beginning over and over in our lives. And these beautiful stories that you told us, Daniel. If you can go to YouTube and write Chico Xavier, you will be able to see this movie. It's a Brazilian movie, but it's with English subtitles, and tell the whole life of Chico Xavier. Since the very, very young age, when his mother died and he was only 6 years old, throughout all these torments with his godmother, and then when he found joy again with the new stepmother. It's a beautiful movie. Tells also all the rest of the life of Chico Xavier, through so many difficulties he had because of his mediumship. So, Daniel, do you want to say a little bit about what is mediumship in case someone doesn't really know what it is?
yes, definitely. Well, humbly, I can talk just a little bit. You please compliment me, Angie. But mediumship, everybody is a medium, just to start. But mediumship is this ability to connect with a discarnate or a discarnate person, right? Because we are all connected. When we're going to talk about that later on. But the mediumship is this ability to connect, and then you serve as a medium. That's the name. You serve as a medium, so the message or the vision or whatever you can feel, right? That could be hearing, could be seeing, could be just writing, psychography. This goes through you. That's why it's called a mediumship. And
Exactly.
there's many kinds, right?
So the medium is this connector from the spiritual realm to earth. So we are a spirit incarnated. And as you said, the ones who died, the ones who passed over, they are spirits now. And the medium is able to connect with them. And the medium, so many different mediumships, as you mentioned. Some mediums can see, others can listen, others can feel, others can do the writing. We are all mediums in very small senses, but the ostensive mediums are the ones like Chico Xavier. They can see and hear and a lot. So very beautiful to talk about it. So now I would like to talk about this very special man. So his name is Jerônimo Mendonça. He was born in 39. He died in 89. So he had, throughout his spiritist life, he got a nickname of the Lion Giant, because for many, many years in his life, he was lying on a bed and he couldn't move anything besides the muscles of his face. When he was around 16 years old, he started feeling pain in the joints of his body, and his whole family was from a different faith. But then he heard people saying, oh, in Spiritist Center, you can find a lot of help, spiritual and also physical. So he went to a Spiritist Center in Minas Gerais, where he was born. And because he was very tall and very strong, he played many sports. And a lot of people like to call him Tarzan. And he liked to call Tarzan himself. But that day, he was in a place that he didn't know anyone. So he was one amongst the hundreds. And the medium received a message from a spirit, and she said, there is a spirit here that wants to send a message to Tarzan. And the message basically was, Tarzan, you have to be strong because soon in your life, you will face a lot of difficulties. And through faith, you will find joy in life again. So he heard the message. He knew the message was for himself, but he didn't understand the content yet. He didn't connect that message that he was going to have to face difficulties with his physical disease. Anyway, the time passed, and his illness started getting worse and worse and worse. So very quickly, he went from pain to crutches to wheelchair, and finally he ended up in a bed, and he couldn't move. But through all these years, he studied a lot spiritism. He participated in many activities, and then he had a lot of knowledge. And he understood that he had to utilize his knowledge to find the joy in life again, but most importantly, to bring joy in the life of others. So this is the beautiful thing. The disease that he suffered is actually called rheumatoid arthritis. So it's a very painful disease. But because of this, he couldn't move. He was a spiritist. He had a gorgeous voice. So he used to sing, and he also used to give lectures. So as you can see here in the pictures, they used to bring him in the trips in a bed, and he had to travel in a kind of a truck, because they had to put a whole bed in the truck. And he used to go through many little cities in Minas Gerais giving lectures. So Jerônimo used his voice. You can see another picture where a man is holding the microphone, and he was a very funny person. He never saw his disease as something to feel pity of himself. There are many stories that are hilarious. One of them is like his mother complaining to him that she has 9 other kids besides him. They are all normal. None of them had any type of a physical problem, and all of them were in the house all the time. But Jerônimo was the only one who had a very serious disease and was never home. And then, through the conversation, he told his mom, but mom, Spiritism makes me travel because I have to bring these beautiful teachings to many places. And his mother said, I am starting to believe in it because you never stop. And people from everywhere are always searching for you. So it really must bring some joy in the life of others. But then one time he was already later on in life. He got very sick. And the doctor told him that his life was through a thread, a little tiny thread. It's an expression that you are very close to die. And then he asked to go to see Chico Xavier, who Daniel explained about his life. They lived in the same state, and Jerônimo met him. So they drove him to meet Chico Xavier. When Chico met him and said, what happened, Jerônimo? And Jerônimo was very sad and told him, Chico, I came here to say goodbye. The doctor told me that my life is by a very thin thread. At any moment, I can cross over. And then Chico fought a little bit, and then he told Jerônimo, Emmanuel, that's the spiritual guide of Chico Xavier, is telling that there are many different types of threads. Some are very thin, others are thick, but also there are ones of nylon and there are ones of metal. what type of thread do you have? And then Geronimo was like thinking, and then Chico completed. Emmanuel is saying, when you do not feel pity for yourself, but when you work towards the benefit and happiness of others, your very thin thread will get thicker. And that's what you have to apply. So Geronimo listened to that and he really applied. So he left there understanding the message, understanding that if he's not feeling sorry for himself, that he's suffering, poor me, my life is terrible, he really was gonna discarnate. And he really applied this, because after this he still lived more 20 years traveling all over, and becoming this very famous, a person that talks about spiritism. So it's a beautiful story for all of us. If you guys didn't know about the Geronimo, search a little bit. But now we have Joana de Angelis. So then now you're going to talk about who is Divaldo Franco and who is Joana de Angelis.
Sure. Divaldo Franco is also a huge medium, if I could say that, a person that is still alive today. He also wrote several books. He's from Bahia, Brazil. I think he's 90. I'm not sure. 95. Well, he's
97, 97.
97. 97. Yes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And
Another thing is not just 97, is the amount of energy this man has.
exactly. I
Because
couldn't travel
of
as
the
much as he
pandemic.
does. I couldn't do anything that he does. He's so much energy. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Really. And this smile always in his face. Well, but Divaldo has a medium called a guide, a mentor called Joana de Angelis. And Divaldo also, as Chico, had a humble life, helped others, created a big mansion called Mansão do Caminho. I would translate as the mansion of the path, and where there's a lot of people who receive education, doesn't matter which religion, receive education, full-time education. There is bread, there is maternity, there's everything. It's a huge place in Bahia. And besides all the
Just
books.
to, just to clarify, it's called mansion, but it's a humble house. It's just a very big house
Exactly,
that have
exactly.
wonderful services.
It was not a mansion that he bought. No, it was
Yeah.
just growing, and he adopted more than 80 kids. So well, there's so much to talk about Divaldo, but I want to talk about the message that Joanna brought through several books. So I wrote them down, and I'll talk about this message that relates to how to be how to find joy and be happy in life. um, and that's the Happy Life book that we present here. So the first thing is to believe in happiness, right? Don't put it on things and places, people. No, it's an intimate state. It's in you. Trust in God, because God is also within you. There's also love yourself more, right? So be excited, because we're all destined for the great light. So let your noble aspirations shine through. Take care of the body, eat well without exaggeration. What else Joanna tell us? Follow the events without eagerness or fear, right? We are living the pandemic, we are surfing the pandemic, right? And our anxiety will not change the course of ours. What you think will happen, maybe it will happen, but lives obey a plan of incessant changes and transformations. So Joanna is very careful with words. I'm just summarizing some bullets here. Each and every organic or moral functions needs to be exercised in order to respond quickly to mental commands. Real forgiveness is always accompanied by forgetting the wrong received. So Angie already talked about forgiveness, and it's so good that we have not only to forgive, but totally forget about it. Just put a rock on it. And there's also this saying from Saint Vincent de Paul. he dedicated whole life to the poor. But he stated that they were very demanding and ungrateful. So be good cheers always, right? It's amazing that, well, imagine we're expecting to, expecting too much as a reward is never a good option. So be a good cheer. And also a hassle free journey. Imagine living a hassle free journey becomes monotonous and demotivating. We can here see the example of Buddha, right, who had a hassle-free journey throughout his life, and then there was a lot of problems related to that. And also Raul Seixas in Brazil that says that it's boring to reach a goal in an instant. And this is true, right? If you could just do this and reach a goal, what is the point? And you grow because of the struggles you face. And makes sense, right? We see that through the life of Chico, we saw that through the life of Geronimo, and also for the life of Divaldo. And another recipe that Emmanuel also said, Joanna is saying here again, walk a little outdoors, right? Rediscover nature, bless how it bless your life. I also know about, there was this a research from Japan. They discovered that there's molecules of oil that comes out of the trees that as you inhale, it boosts your immune system. So it's good to be outdoors, good to be with nature, avoiding crowded places, breathe this balsamic oxygen, right? In the mountains, in the sea, redo concepts, calm down, bless life in the way it presents you. Your current existence is rich in what you need to be happy. So again, as we see this, it comes again and again with, the advice that Geronimo receives, and now he could live 20 years longer, and with other advices that we receive from Joanna de Angelis that I just shared. I think it's a
Yeah,
recipe, right, to
it's
follow.
it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So it's so important for us to understand it, because as we said in the beginning, people always connect the joy with the happy moment. But
Yeah,
we have to understand that there are things in life we have to go through. Especially us, we are spiritists. We understand that we had many, many past lives. So we are a collection of our past. And as we know, we have a tendency to have made many mistakes in our previous life. So right
yeah,
now, we are our best version. So even if in our best version we still make mistakes, imagine thousands of years ago.
yeah,
So joy is also this. Joy is also to be able to overcome difficulties, having this strong faith that it will be better. Whatever is happening is because it had to happen. There is something that we do not understand. We just understand it's connected to our past, but we do not know why. We have to go through that difficulties. Exactly like you told the story of Chico Xavier. Imagine this kid, 6 years old, he lost his mother and he went to live with this godmother that was very, very mean to him. And he went through a lot of pain. That's another thing. It's important to understand the distinction of a pain and suffering. Pain is that the thing that we feel. It's like something very physical. You put your finger in a very hot surface, you are gonna feel pain. Suffering is the feeling that Jerônimo Mendonça was feeling. Oh, poor me, I'm the only one who suffer, my life is terrible, I should die because there is no purpose in life. But then Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier, came to him and said, learn how to find joy in the others, or to find joy in bringing something beautiful to others. So this is when we say that, buying a car is something very quick. Wow, it's wonderful, but quickly you don't feel the joy. But when you can do something for somebody else, when you can help somebody else to help himself, imagine to be able to help a homeless person, or to visit an elderly in the nursing home, or to help someone to build a house that is falling. This will bring you joy for you for forever, because you will always remember what you did, and will bring you this desire to continue doing more and more. That's why in spiritism our goal is really to help others. Without charity there is no salvation. Without charity there is no happiness. So because of all of this, I also would like to mention this man. So this man, he got famous amongst the spiritists because of Divaldo Franco. He is this very famous spiritist medium that Daniel just told us. So Viktor Frankl, he was this neurologist who, when he was very young, he ended up in Auschwitz. He was Jewish, and unfortunately, all his family died. But he survived. Somehow he was able to survive. And he tells in many of his lectures, you can see in YouTube and many of his books, he mentioned that throughout his life, when he was living in the concentration camp, many of the people surrounding him, they were cultivating this hatred towards the German soldiers. What is normal, because they couldn't understand why this was happening to them. But quickly he understood, if he was going to donate his energy to the hatred, he was going to be even weaker and he was going to die. So he decided not to think about this. He decided to live day by day in the best way possible, hoping for better days. So when he finally was able to get out of the concentration camp, he is one of the survivors. He actually created this therapy. The therapy is called logotherapy. And the therapy is that ones that is a school of physical therapy, which describes a search for life meaning as the center of a human motivational force. So that's exactly what he did. He started giving lectures to people, teaching people how to be happy with what you have, and how to be happy facing a difficulty, because happiness will come later, but not at that moment. He also started teaching people to stop being so angry, hateful, a person that enjoys fighting and disagreements, because all these feelings, they bring negative energy and brings you down. When you feel hopeful, when you pray, when you elevate your thoughts, as you said, Daniel, when you go to the nature, when you walk on the sand, when your feet touch the water of the ocean, or when you go to a garden, a forest, and you smell flowers, or even as you said, the moist of the leaves, then you are re-energized, you feel good. And that's how it's life. It's for a longer time. It's a different re-energizing from you purchasing something, but it's something that's an internal joy. So this is a beautiful message that Viktor Frankl brought to us. And here he's already later on in his life, the sentence is, don't aim at success, for success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must be ensued. So there is a very famous movie called In the Pursuit of a Happiness. But what he's explaining is that if we are always searching for happiness, we are not going to be living a happy life. We are going to develop some kind of anxiety, because we are always trying to reach to something we don't have. And that's exactly what he's telling us. Live your life now. Discover joy. Many times, families, they have They have kids, a beautiful, perfect life. Everything is beautiful, but they are just thinking about money, 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 better life, better car, better this, better. And this crazy search for this stop them from having fun times with their own family. They don't have vacation. So we have to be careful, and that's why it's beautiful when we see these examples to help us to reflect.
and,
But
and, and
what can we talk about this? This is beautiful. The power
yeah,
of thought.
exactly, connecting with what you just saying, right, Angie? So if there is somebody thinking about too much about something, right, so it starts to make connection. So if you're talking up, if you're thinking a lot about material things, that's going to connect you with material things. That's it. If you're thinking about, unmaterial things, things from divine plan, spiritual life, then it's going to connect you there. It's there's so many books talking about that. It even quantum
Quantum
quantum,
physics. Quantum
yes,
physics.
quantum
Yes.
physics still talks about that.
Finally, science reaching to the spiritist knowledge.
Yes. So I think we always have to be very careful with what we think, and that um, we can um, we can learn how to um, make our thoughts in a certain pattern so we don't derail our thoughts in a way we don't want. It is, I think it's a matter of training, right? Because our mind is, as it's not trained, we start to think a lot of other many things, and we try to react to things. And as we learn that we are co-creators with God, and that our minds are like a magnet, and or like a radio that can tune in with wavelengths that are in this planet, I think we have to be more careful with what we think about it. And that's why I think it's very relevant to joy is what are you thinking on a daily basis, right? If you as Angie mentioned, if you're thinking about a car or a house, I'm sure you're gonna get it, but then it's a material thing. It's not going to perdurate, after you die or even when you're like older in your life. So why to bother with that? Instead, well, we have to bother with necessities, right? But when you go beyond necessities, then it's something that's not bringing you too much a durable joy. And one thing about this wavelength that we have also to bear in mind is, okay, who I'm connecting to, right? So besides my thoughts, who I'm connecting to, and and I think that God, as we want joy and we need things and we pray to God help us uh, per intermediate of its creatures, right? So it's always there. There are spirits willing to help us. So there's uh, friends, there are mentors, guides, your guardian angels, because even the saints, we pray for saints, right? Imagine how many, how millions of prayers all the saints receive every day. So there's a battalion. There's several thousands of spirits, friends of them who help them to assist them to the millions of prayers. But it's just to remember that all of them, they can inspire us, right? And God allowed them to connect with us because that's the law of God, a lot of attractiveness, and a lot of the current of mental field that we connect with each other. But compete to us to walk, right? So we can be inspired by them, but it's always our initiative, our free
Yes.
will. And hence we have to think, okay, if I'm asking and I'm receiving, one one big I think one important and one advice I would say is, okay, I would ask to God to understand the blessing of understanding, to clearly distinguish what is the correct initiative, right? Because I'm being influenced, and I don't know who I'm connecting to. I hope it's connecting with good good advice from the other world. So connecting it to joy, I would there is a serenity prayer from American theologist Reynold Niebuhr, and it says, "Lord, give us the grace to calmly accept the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things that must be changed, and understanding to distinguish one from the other." So I think we
Beautiful. Very
beautiful, right? And I think that as we're seeking joy and we are changing ourselves, and we have to change our thought process so we always think more positively. I know it's hard because life just beats you up with many things, and that's the process that Angie just mentioned about you know growing up, right? Karma and the things that you did in the past that you still have to pass through for your, but you can ask for understanding better which is the best path, and so God will allow you to connect with the wavelengths that would help you the most.
yeah.
um
So it's one of the things, like, we pray for happiness, but we
yes,
should actually pray for strength to overcome any kind of difficulty, and please God that give me faith to overcome it, so one day I will be able to find real joy. We need to
exactly.
to have our mindset, even how we pray. The
Hmm.
prayer that you mentioned is very beautiful and help us to
Yeah.
understand it.
Uh-huh. And it's the only way possible to acquire that is passing through difficulties, right?
Yes,
Otherwise, we cannot just click our and change our mindset, change our thought process. So it's important to understand that all the struggles we are passing through, and our brothers and sisters too, it's part of our evolution towards Christ, towards God.
exactly. That's why it's so important. Like, there are people in many different levels of financial, for example, but we understand that usually people that are born into richness, for them many times it's difficult to connect, because they see a world so different from their world. And that's why it's so important for the parents, any parents, always to teach and guide their kids, and explains the difference in the world, not hide anything from the kids. Tell them, you have this financial situation that's very good right now. We don't know what is the future, but there are people in the world suffering, growing through a lot of difficulties. So if we have something a little bit better, it's our moral obligation to help others. So that's why spiritism always help us to understand, to change our mindset. We need to do something for others too. So we will all be happy when we are happy together. When there is this huge differences, the millionaires and the super poor, that's very difficult. So one day that we start coming a little bit closer, even if differences will always exist, but we will help each other more often. That then
Mhm.
we will really understand the joy. But Daniel, our time is finishing. I know you have a beautiful video that you want to share with us, and I
Definitely.
would love to see, and I'm sure everybody will appreciate it. So
I'll I'll
let's see if
try
we
to
can see
share.
and listen it.
Let me see. Uh, I'll put the sound on. Can you see?
No, you have to share.
Oops.
Não importa quem você é, não importa o que você
I
Share
hope
it.
that's. Yeah, I'm.
Jesus conhece.
I just tried again and again. Go, go. Should I share with system audio or not?
Yes, you have to share with audio.
Great. I'm doing right now. Sorry for the delay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Can you put
Like
it in
from the
full screen? Full screen?
sure.
Não importa quem você é, não importa o que você
Let's go, let's
fez.
go.
Jesus conhece o seu interior também.
Yeah.
Quantas vezes você caiu tentando acertar, mas a tristeza e o desespero te fizeram chorar. Não importa pra onde você foi, se na escuridão da noite ele apaga o seu passado e não desiste de você. Ele não desiste de você, ele se importa com você. Ele compreende o seu caminhar, nunca viu amor tão grande assim. Ele não desiste de você, ele se importa com você. Ele compreende o seu caminhar, nunca viu amor tão grande assim. Ele não você é, não importa o que você fez. Jesus conhece o seu interior também. Quantas vezes você caiu tentando acertar, mas a tristeza e o desespero te fizeram chorar. Não importa pra onde você foi, se na escuridão da noite ele apaga o seu passado e desiste de você. Desiste de você, ele se importa com você. Ele compreende o seu caminhar, nunca viu amor tão grande assim. Ele não desiste de você, ele se importa com você. Ele compreende o seu caminhar, nunca viu amor tão grande assim. Ele não desiste. Ele não desiste, ele não desiste, ele não desiste. Ele não desiste.
So it's unfortunate the video got a little frozen and we couldn't really see it very well, but it's a beautiful video that really touches all our hearts, and it shows to us all the beautiful moments that we are always with Jesus, and in the moments of happiness and in the moments of pain, because in the moments of pain, Jesus is with us too. Jesus is always with us. But the thing is that we have to have this inner strength to overcome the difficulties and have faith, so we can be in a little bit better state of mind. If we don't do that, then what happens? What happens that we can have some kind of a depression, we can become sick, we can become like Jerônimo Mendonça, we start feeling the poor me, and then things are not good. So thank you so much, Daniel, for the video. Very, very beautiful. It really helped us to see that we are always with Jesus when we bring our wave lines, exactly like you said, our thoughts to positive things. Then we connect with good things. We connect with good spirits. We connect with good vibrations that boost our energy. If we connect with
So
negative things, with problems, we bring our energy down. And there is, I know the video was very chopped, we couldn't really see it well, but there is a moment where a lady is in a hospital and someone dies, and it's a great moment of pain. We can just imagine someone that we love dying. It's a great, great pain. But we have to understand that things happen for reasons that we don't know. But if we are still alive, we have this obligation to continue living and trying to find the happiness in life again. So,
yes, Angie. Yes, and let's try to make this commitment for New Year's resolution, right? Let's apply all these tips and advice of joy into our lives. Let's do it.
exactly. This is beautiful. That's exactly what we want. We want that everybody can participate more and more in cardiac radio, and we can all see these beautiful studies and these beautiful prayers like the ones you do on Monday mornings. So we can wake up, listen to it, and already like, another
Yay.
beautiful day. I'm alive.
Definitely, the present is a present.
Yes,
It's a gift.
exactly. Very, very good. So, my friends, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Daniel, for being with us here in Kardec Radio. It's really beautiful to be able to talk about joy and so many inspirational messages that I think we got today. That was very, very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angie. Thank you so much for you on the other side, seeing us, hearing us, and thank you, Kardec Radio, for everything.
Yes, yes. So let's say together, Happy New Year's, Kardec
Happy New
Radio.
Year!
Hey,
Woohoo!
happy 2022. Woo! Awesome. Mwah. Thank you, Daniel. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye bye, Kardec Radio. Happy 2022.